And Adam, when you're looking at what you've built, right? It's you and you and Kat and Wendy that, it's like, okay, we're gonna roll out this expansion to now a team, your team of, well, I should say the company's team of going on 8 agents and staff members and over 700 million in sales. There has been some progression and growth, to say the least, over the years. What are some of those key things that you've learned that have really stood out in your leadership journey, going from that it's the three of us and my systems are not that great, to what you have now that is really a well-oiled machine that is attracting the attention of a lot of practitioners in your market?
I'd say I would attribute it to um, the systems and processes, right?
Yeah.
The having defined roles, because real estate, our culture has changed. We've moved to an on-demand culture, and being in the heart of the Silicon Valley, it moves faster than anywhere else in the world.
Hmm.
Period. Stop.
Yes.
Right. This is
Yes.
that's why the values of the homes are what they are. It's why, the smartest people in the world are all here trying to create a new vision of the world, good or bad. It's what happens here. Right. And they have the ability to adapt and move quickly. And so if you don't move like that, then, again, you're going to have a hard time. I think the growth for us specifically is leaning into our I would say leaning into our superpowers, right? Leaning into the fact that
Uh-huh.
I was a great collaborator and
Hmm.
that I could bring people together. And Kat leaning into the fact that she was great with systems. And we looked at,
Yeah.
for Wendy, we looked to her ability to work, especially with buyers and how technical she was. And she could analyze markets and match make better than, any one of us. And so
Hmm.
we all leaned into our skill set and then had the support of a team that over time we saw that, okay, maybe we had them in one position and that position wasn't necessarily the right fit for them. But instead of letting that person go necessarily, let's see if we can create an opportunity where that person can lean into their superpowers respectively.
Yeah.
And that's what happened over the progression of the past 7 years. I want to add that we ran the numbers recently, and that yes, in the past 7 years we've done over 700 million in sales, but
Yeah.
as individuals for lifetime sales, we've done over 1.4 billion dollars in sales. And this is something that you know this is not to be braggadocious. It's just to say, hey, this is a big deal. Like we've been doing this for a long time. We know what we're doing, and and I'm proud of it.
Absolutely. As you should be. Congratulations on that. I'm so glad that you guys were able to pull that information and truly paint the a clear picture of what you've built over the
Yeah.
years. Yes, absolutely. I think that's amazing. I think that's amazing. And when you talk about leaning into the superpowers, I think this is a rule that you've carried through for everyone on the team, right? Not just the owners of the team. And so you truly embrace this idea of having a sense of empowerment with everyone that's on the team. Talk to us a little bit about that, like leading in a way where everyone feels empowered, because I've witnessed it and I've seen it where the team just feels empowered to truly own whatever their task or responsibilities are throughout the business.
Yeah, I that comes with just with maturation and
Mhm.
and being a good leader.
Yeah.
I Every agent I know is a control freak, so I'm not going to try to exclude myself from that group. And it's the ability to let go of that control and trust that the person that you've hired is able to do those things. And if
Mm,
they don't, then there's an opportunity to correct it and correct it in a way that's positive, right? And
yeah.
it's positive reinforcement as
Right.
opposed to finger pointing. We go back and we've had this conversation time and time again and going, where was the breakdown? The breakdown was in the system,
Yes.
right? And whose fault is that as a leader? It's your fault as a leader.
Hmm.
If there was a breakdown, whether in communication or, in a process or, initial intake, whatever it looks like, that's your
Yep.
fault because that's how you lead, right? It's not
Absolutely.
pointing fingers. And I think if agents can understand that, that carries into their business, whether you're
Yes.
interfacing with the client or you're interfacing with, a contractor or a staff person. So that's been, I think, the key to our success.
Yeah, absolutely. And those conversations you're having on an ongoing basis. This is
Daily.
not just a one off or reactionary when something goes awry. These are constant and ongoing conversations that you have.
These are daily conversations. Yeah.
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 Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
taking a time to come together and, once quarterly have a conversation about, hey, this is a two-way street. How are things working for you? And letting
Yes.
us know, how can we course correct? Because that feedback is just as important as us giving them feedback, especially in the case when it comes to our staff.
100%. Just that reflection. How are you showing up as a leader? And I talk about this on the show all the time. We think that we're showing up as a leader in one way. And then when we ask the people around us and they're like, that's not how you actually show up, especially when stakes are high or things are fast moving or, there's a lot of pressure on the business or on you as an individual. The way we show up it often shifts and changes. And it's important for us to see how we're showing up as a leader in those instances because that gives us an opportunity to correct um, if we want to truly grow.
Yeah.
And I mean, you can choose to ignore it if you wish, but that's not going to help you in progressing and growing as a leader.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I have a colleague who's based out of Blackhawk, which is in the East Bay. Her name's
Yeah.
Juju. And we had lunch a few years back. And one thing she said to me was, Adam, no one's going to outwork me on my team. And it's so true. She gets up at 5 a.m. and she works and you build respect and you build uh, and people will get behind your mission if you
Hmm.
show up like that. If you're consistent, you're kind, and you outwork everyone. And
Yes,
and that's the case. That's leadership. I remember talking to
absolutely.
Mark. He would be taking calls at 5 o'clock in the morning on his spin bike. You know, I had lunch with Steve, as I mentioned. He's in his late 70s now, and he's working out, and he's there every day. And he was like just this constant force. My dad's the same way. 6 days a week, he
Yeah.
still works. He doesn't need to, but that's just who he is. That's who he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.